Welcome at the next or the following live stream Kempers Watersport, and today I am on my own Axopar 28 cabin, which, as the titles mentioned, I swapped after having owned for just one season a single engine Axopar 28 cabin, 2020 model, and this is a 2021 model with a twin setup. Let me close this window in the meantime so that we have decent audio and no wind in the microphone. Welcome again. Steiner Lake, driving this Axopar 28 really slowly in between the islands, a great place where I tend to spend a lot of my leisure time in the evenings, getting rid of all the worries in my head and enjoying the nice nature here in the Aalsmeer area. And of course, we are really pleased to have you with us tonight, and we hope, as an introduction, let me tell you something about the story why I swapped my own Axopar 28 cabin. But before I do, let me also introduce the team, because with me is again Chantal.
Hey everyone.
Who is kind enough to assist me and read out all the questions that you may have. And behind the camera is Vincent again. Welcome back, Vincent. So we're the three of us. Of course, there's plenty of place on this particular Axopar 28 cabin, so you could bring a lot more friends, but this setup works out fine for us this evening. Again, Axopar 28, I swapped it after only one season. I really had to promise my own family that Daddy wouldn't actually sell my previous boat, which I did. And the reason that I did that is that by the end of the season, 3/4 of the season last year, a customer showed up and he turned out to be the, between brackets, perfect. It was the time where we had some events going on. I really wouldn't have time to do a lot of boating in the weeks following. And I learned that some things, minor things, would be changed for the 2021 model year. One of which for me was important, and that was the roof. I'll get back to that later. I had an Axopar 28 with a single outboard 400 horsepower. I was extremely pleased with the boat. There was really nothing wrong with the boat. But as I said, the right customer showed up at the right time, and I started thinking. And I started calling my contact at Axopar, and as it happened, they promised me they could get me a new one within a relatively short period. But we all know what happened. There are lots of challenges out in the world. Getting, well, especially chips is a challenge. But the same happened with outboard engines and with boats. All kinds of suppliers ended up having some problems. So I got my boat quite a bit later than I would have hoped, which meant that a couple of months I was boatless, which was a real shame. But when it arrived, which was in the winter time, we prepared it, and I decided to install a twin setup with twin Mercury 200 horsepower, and not only that, with a joystick. And that was one of the reasons why I swapped my boat, because I was happy with the single setup, which is fine, especially in inland waters like we have here. Before I carry on, I need to look after where we're going, because I like to pass by Kempers Island also. Let me turn around in the meantime. A single setup again is fine, but you cannot have a joystick solution, and we had quite a few customers looking at the 37, where that is an option which is available from Mercury/Axopar. But on the 28 it was less easy, but we also started having a demand for the 28. Sorry, I'm talking and looking at the direction is not a good idea, as you may have noticed. So a free turn, we'll go in here. That's the easiest route to our island. But again, joystick, we started having a demand on the 28 also, so I decided to install one myself so we could use this boat as a demo also, and we've actually sold quite a few since then, with the twin setup and with the joystick solution also. And I really don't need the joystick myself because I'm quite an experienced boater. But I hoped my wife would take out this boat more often, and that it would make her more confident doing so by using this joystick. That still needs to be developed more. She's not confident enough yet, but I'm sure this is going to help. But I found that there are some more autopilot, which is incorporated in this system, and also with Mercury it's called a Skyhook solution, where the boat is kept in the same position, and it's more or less use a lot often because I do a lot of boating just by myself. When you're getting to your mooring, you just press a button and the boat is hovering, you put out the fenders and the lines, and then you take her in. So that's the reason why I changed it. There are a lot of things which I have personalized on this boat, so I would certainly not recommend everybody copying all the things that I did, because they are quite personal and sometimes quite costly. But of course, it's I am the dealer, and we took the more quiet time in the winter especially to do some special things on this boat. But I've been using it now for this season. It's now the 1st of September 2021. I got it I think somewhere in January this year. With it the last couple of weeks, and we had a really good time. So let's take off with questions, if there are any yet. Any questions?
Yes, Bart, can you tell something about the brand Axopar?
Yes, of course I can. The brand Axopar, well, started I think by heart around 7-8 years ago, and it is a new company, guys. Let me think of. And the developing Axopar. First one was very high quality, also nice looking boats. The company was quite successful. They started XO, which is also a really nice high quality. And the same happened. The company was sold, and they did the same thing. One of the guys, Zachary Matele, was one of the founders actually of Aquador. So they started a new company called Axopar, and that also, the name Axopar, A is for Aquador, XO is for XO, obviously part of Paragon, also to inform people that all the experience that was already there was incorporated in the brand Axopar. So a relatively new player in one way, but in the other way with a lot of experience. Mainly on a boat which was really great to drive, fun to drive, fast, and matching the current requirements or demands, I should say, for boating. Relatively short boating with a large range, so speed, very fuel efficient, but especially with a really good value for money. And they achieved that by doing many things, building on a platform, I would say, so making a mold like they do with the fiberglass boat, which then, if you have a really good mold, is used to more or less copy the boat, and you have a consistent quality, but also you reduce the cost, the development cost per unit. While we're driving here, we're passing by Kempers Island, by the way. This is called Koddespoeltje, famous area. Well, not famous for the local people, this may be famous, but a really small and nice place, and I always tend to pass by our island just to have some check. And it also is a nice place to pass by, of course. And we're going to some really narrow canals or waterways there, but really nice. But again, Axopar, so a mold, copying consistent quality, taking the development cost per unit down, and also using one hull for different boats. So the hull for the 28 cabin, for example, is the same as for the 28 T-top, and also for the 28 open, and the same has been done. Let me open up this door. The same has been done for the 37, where the hull for the 37 Suntop and the cross cabin and spiders all the same. And now that they've recently introduced the 22 Spider, there obviously also is a T-top, which will be introduced, by the way, next week in Cannes at the boat show. So that is something about Axopar, and we've been working with them not from the initial start. We missed out the first year. There's a reason for that, of course, because we noticed Axopar right from the start, but we only managed to become a dealer after a year, which we are still extremely pleased about and honored about. A great brand to work with, not only with regards to the product, but also with regards to the warranty things, the after sales. There, for example, there's there's a really active owners group on Facebook. And what I really like, and I think Axopar should be really proud of, is that one of the founders, it's Jan-Erik Vitala, is really active on this. As you can see, this is quite a tight turn, and I have my attention on different things now. I usually could do this just in one turn, but not today.
Getting old.
Sorry, yeah, getting old, a bit rusty perhaps. But anyway, Jan-Erik Vitala, the founder again, is still active on this Axopar Owners Group Facebook page, and he's really into detail. So if somebody has a question about a loose screw somewhere, just as an example, he's right at it, and he helps these customers from all around the world, which I think is the brand and about the boat still being in his heart and of the full team. So we're really happy with Axopar as a company. Any other questions, Chantal?
Yes, Bart, we have a question from Kiki. What is your favorite thing about your boat?
My favorite thing about my boat? Well, there are quite a few. Let me give it some thought. Thank you for the question, by the way, Kiki. Kiki is my daughter, probably, for all you viewers, so I'm really honored that she's watching this video. The favorite thing about this boat is that it is a multi-purpose boat. So it can be used in different conditions. And what I really industry, so usually in the summertime I'm really, in the wintertime I have more time out, but of course the weather is not like it is in the summertime. And with this cabin, with the roof being closed, and I've been out even heating on, I read a book, drink a beer, but that is what I truly like, a multi-purpose boat, and really suitable to use in the winter time, but also in the summer when we can just open the roof, open the slide doors, and you have an open boat as well. Again, I just took it on a summer holiday in Zeeland at a place called Tolen. We had 1 week of beautiful weather where we were out in our swimming trunks, swimming and towing some toys behind the boat, with my two daughters being on there and having loads of fun. And the next week we had less good weather, but we still took the boat out on the Oosterschelde, which is really an open sea arm of the North Sea. More rough conditions, colder of course, and also some rain, but still we were fine. We just took her out and we had a really nice lunch at a place called Yeti. Lots of fun. And the funny thing about that is that a lot of people make different plans when the weather is different. We don't. We just take the boat out and we have lots of fun. And it's nice and quiet on the water because all the other people are somewhere else. Actually, a day like today, look at it. I mean, it's nice, it's quiet, it's a bit grey, and it may look like it's going to rain. I don't think it will. So there's nobody out there, very few people, but still it's so nice to be outside. And if it would still rain, we just close the doors, we have a roof, nothing can happen. So, yeah.
Talking about that, Bart, we have a compliment from Giancarlo Romani. He loves the option for the added aft cabin.
Ah, okay. Well, thank you for the compliment, by the way. But that is something that is worth mentioning because we have a lot of people. We've sold quite a few Axopars over the years. We have a lot of people coming in, especially for the 28, and asking us for a version without the aft cabin because they say they're never going to sleep on a 9/10 meter boat. Which I understand, but I always recommend them to at least consider it again because the aft cabin is not only used for sleeping. I mean, it's great for sleeping. Even with my length, I'm 1.93 m. I could sleep there, not for 2 weeks to be honest, but for a couple of days it's fine. And of course it's intended for that purpose, but still, if you wouldn't sleep there, it has a different purpose because the lounge area, let me put her into neutral. I'm not sure whether Vincent filmed this, but maybe he can in the meantime. By the way, I am wearing a life vest and I have a remote kill switch here, so we're safe, no worries. But this, as a sun lounge, I mean, is a great place. And only for this purpose, some people buy this aft cabin solution. Because when you're anchoring, especially when it's slightly cold in spring or maybe in the fall, when you put out the anchor, of course the bow is aimed automatically in the direction of where the wind is coming, and you're sheltered by having this cabin if you're sitting here. So a great place to do some lounging. Not only that, of course, again, it's intended for sleeping, but it's a great storage area also. We all know if you go to your boat for a day of boating, you bring bags, you have towels, you have food, you have clothing, you have life vests, whatever, maybe even a wakeboard or whatever. And it's usually on any boat, it's quite difficult to find a place for all these items. Not on a 28 with the cabin, because you just slide it in under the sofa in the cabin and your boat still looks tidy. So I think a great solution. But again, thanks for the question and for the compliment. Any other questions, Chantal?
Yes, we have a question. Would you recommend this boat, especially for the Netherlands?
Yes, I would. And why would I do that? Again, because it's a multi-purpose boat, and Holland being not a southern country where we always have nice weather, you're less dependent on the weather. But not only that, again, it's fast if you have the right installation with 1 or 2 engines. So you have a really good range, and Holland is a great boating country where you have lots of nice waterways. The IJsselmeer, Zeeland, the IJssel, the favorite of my own parents, the Waddenzee, and those are all within reach within 1, maybe 2 days. If you have speed, I'm not a speedy guy, but it's good to have the ability to go fast. If you go onto the IJsselmeer and you want to go from one side to the other, you're there, well, relatively quickly, which also I personally think adds to some safety, because if you're right on the IJsselmeer, it can be quite a challenge if you have really rough conditions. But if a thunderstorm breaks loose, you hit the throttle and you're back in the marina within a jiffy. So I think it's the ideal boat for Holland.
Okay. Thank you, Bart. We have another question from Giancarlo Romani.
No.
How big is the table that can be set up in the cabin? I've never seen the table set up before.
Well, to be honest, I haven't used the table in my own boat before either. So I may even take it out, maybe that I need to do a bit of searching. But it's right here and I haven't used it yet. Let me take this out. This is a flex trash, by the way. I'm a bit of a nature guy, so this is a recycled thing. I recommend everybody buying one of these. They're great to use, and you just use this. You put it here or wherever you like this, and you can slide this in, and really, really nice. So let me take that away because it's in the way of the table, and the table is here at the moment. And I need the arm first. Sorry about the hassle. This is where it slides in. So this is a first for me. Again, I didn't order this when I ordered my boat, but I found later with the restaurants being closed that was a mistake really, because I really wanted to take out my boat and do some online ordering, and I need to slide the seats a bit forward, do some online ordering for my wife likes sushi a lot. And we didn't have a table, so I ordered it after all, and here it is. I haven't attached it at this moment, but you're asking me how big it is. This is one side folded out, and of course you can turn around these two seats and fold out this as well. I didn't bring a measurement, but you can see this is about I think 1 meter or so, and this should be something around 60-70 centimeters. So big enough, and as you can see with Chantal and myself sitting here, we could even have a third person and 2 people sitting in these seats when they're turned, and you could really have a nice dinner or play a game of cards or whatever you'd like to do. You still smell the teak, don't you? Yeah. So a nice full teak table. It's kind of heavy, but it's really, really nice. Let me quickly put it back. Thank you for the question. I haven't used it yet, but I'm really anxious to do so soon. So here we go. Any more questions?
Yeah. We have a question from Nick. Is there a fridge as well?
Yes, there is. Let me show you also. Just 1 second. Getting this back. The flex trash. The fridge is right here. Boat is still floating. This is the fridge which you can have as an option on the 28th, either on the T-top or the open or the cabin. And in my experience, it's big. It's huge actually. If you put up a wine bottle standing up, there's still plenty of place, so you could fit maybe even 6-7 bottles of wine, and of course bring other stuff. It's well insulated, not only here but also of course here. Works fine. What some people think is that they bring relatively warm drinks or food, put it in, put it on, and that then after an hour or so it's all cold. It doesn't work like that. You really need to bring your drinks being relatively cold already. So I would suggest taking them out of the fridge at home and then putting them in, or buying cold drinks at the store and putting them in. But in my experience it works really nice. And one thing I also need to show you is something I did, which is, and perhaps Vincent can follow me. If you could perhaps stand there, Vincent, I can show you this Yeti Cooler, which I bought recently. Having become a dealer, this is something I would recommend many boaters buying. And why? Well, for many reasons. This is a really high quality cooler. This is the Rody 24. Maybe you can show from the top. There's this element, this cooling element here at the bottom, which you put of course in the freezer, and you put it in and you put your drinks or other stuff on top of it. And this is, as you can see, quite thick, so it's really well insulated, high quality. And I've used this a couple of times as extra capacity to bring cold drinks, especially if you have a group of friends, if you have like a party, you never have enough drinks. But this is really good, and not only that, it's relatively easy to carry. I wouldn't recommend buying a bigger, because this you can still carry if you have some drinks in it. They have really nice ones, by the way, which are huge with a couple of wheels. They are great also. But I'm showing this also because we use it as an extra seat in this bow area, which I think is just a great solution. This table is custom made, by the way, for some people who are watching. But this, with the setup with a group of friends, you have an extra seat and you have extra cooling capacity. So that is my recommendation. So yeah, in the meantime we're going out on the lake to do some speeding later. Still floating around. Do we have any more questions, Chantal?
Yeah, we have some compliments that I would like to mention. The Black Priest has the compliment, I really like your several boat presentations. Compliments, keep up the good work.
Thank you, thank you.
And Giancarlo Romanis would like to thank you for taking the time to set the table up.
You're most welcome. My honor.
And we have another question from Suzanne.
Okay.
Why is this boat suitable for boat holidays? And by the way, Bart, you're looking great today.
Thank you, Suzanne. I feel honored. Why is this boat suitable for boat holidays? Well, it's kind of personal, of course, whether it is suitable for a boat holiday. But for my use and the use of my family, it certainly is. As I said, we brought it for our holiday. We took it to the south of Holland. And we use it in a way that we use it mainly as a day boat. So we take the boat out for a day. We have lots of fun. On one day we go in one direction, the other day we go in the other direction. Sunday we don't go to any specific place. We just go out on the water, drop the anchor, and have a day of relaxing and having a nice drink and enjoying the music and each other's company. But it is a boat on which you could sleep also, especially with two people. Let me take down the throttle again and do some explaining here. Again, this aft cabin, I'd have to chase Chantal away, which I'm not going to do. Please stay seated. But this seat here, this side, can be folded up so that you have an entrance to go into the aft cabin, which works fine, and you can sleep two people there. In theory, what Axopar did is they thought of a solution to be able to sleep two more people or maybe kids, because you can slide down these two, well, the full sofa basically, which consists of two parts. So you slide it down, you turn these seats, and you have a twin bed here also. So in theory you could sleep four. I'm saying in theory because I personally think that you wouldn't do that quite quickly, because the people sleeping there, if you would need to go to the restroom in the middle of the night, you would need to use the escape hatch in the back, which is fortunately there. But it is a bit cumbersome and it's a bit much camping. And in the price range that this boat is, I think people don't really want to do that camping. But the really good thing about this is, you're asking me if it's used as a holiday boat. Yes, but it's also used as a fun boat, for example, for guys who want to have like a weekend with some friends. And if you do that, I'm the type of guy who wouldn't want to sleep there with a really good friend. My wife is most welcome, but not a good friend. So what I tend to do then is just use one bed here. So I would sleep there and just slide down this, have one bed here, so that I could still go in and out. You still have plenty of room. You can take your clothes on and off. You still have plenty of room, and you could sleep too. And of course, if you drive close by a hotel or a bed and breakfast, you could sleep, have your other friends sleep there and have a really nice holiday or a weekend or whatever.
Okay, thank you, Bart.
Welcome.
We have a question from the Black Priest. How do you compare the sound system via the C-Ray Fusion?
Well, I don't have the Fusion sound system, to be honest, and there's a reason for that, because I wanted to use this special screen and I did a custom install. But of course we do have some experience, more than some experience, with Fusion. And the good thing is that not only Sea Ray is using Fusion, but Axopar also is. I really like the audio of Fusion, really good. And what I found is that our Dutch customers, usually buying a boat such as this, they also drive relatively nice cars, Porsche Cayennes, Range Rovers, nice Audis, which tend to have 20 speakers and really powerful amplifiers, so they're used to quite something, and they have the full installation. And what I mean is that with Axopar you can have like a standard system and an upgrade 1 and an upgrade 2, and most boats we deliver have the full set, so the standard plus upgrade 1 and upgrade 2, which is a full system with 6 speakers, with a subwoofer, with a powerful amplifier, a really nice system. What I found, however, is that setting up the settings, the digital sound sound processor, I think is the right word, is really important. And there's a special app from Fusion which I recommend everybody using, especially dealers, because the influence of these settings is huge. And if you have a good setup with the Fusion system, both for Sea Ray as with the Axopar, perfect. A really nice audio, real recommendation.
Okay. We have another question from Giancarlo Romani. Do you still use the portable toilet instead of the built-in one?
Yes, I do. And as it happens, we took it out today because there was an issue on the marina. Somebody urgently needed the toilet, so I gave mine. But we are still using it, and I'm still happy that I did this setup. It's a personal thing. There are some advantages to using that setup, because if you have the setup with the toilet from Axopar, you have an electric version. They're nice, and you get a waste tank, which is obligatory, I think, in all European countries, and I would recommend all people doing that, because I like swimming, I like windsurfing, and the more people use a waste system in the way that it's supposed to be used, the better the water quality gets, and the nicer I think it is to swim in the water. That having said, if you have that installation, you do have a waste tank, and I wanted to have some more room. And of course, and what I also did, I installed extra batteries, because I have an inverter. I even installed a coffee machine. Maybe I can show you in the meantime. So I really wanted to have some extra room. And if you have the toilet from Axopar, there's a waste tank which is installed underneath this hatch here, and it of course takes up space. It all works fine. It needs some getting used to, and you need to empty it every now and then, but it's fine. But I installed extra batteries here so that I could install extra batteries and an inverter and have a coffee machine. So this is a custom install, and there usually is the porta potty. I bought the biggest one, and I just find it easy. I mean, if it's full, I take it out, and of course I live on the marina. We have a place where we can empty a toilet relatively quickly and easy. I mean, it's simple. It saves a bit of weight of the tank. It saves some money because it's cheaper. But then, having said, the nicest thing aesthetically is of course a toilet which Axopar fits. And in my experience, most of our customers, I think 9 out of 10 at least, choose the electric toilet, which is a fine solution. You just need to get used to emptying a tank and doing some maintenance on the system. But yeah, I still am happy with the situation as we have it on my boat. Oh, there I am again. Chantal, any more questions?
Yeah. What type of Axopar boats do you sell mostly?
The 28 cabin mainly. The funny thing that we've noticed over the years, that a lot of people come in, they all think, or most of them think, that the 28 T-top is a great looking boat, which I really respect and understand. It's really good looking, but a lot of people end up leaving our marina with not a 28 T-top, but with a cabin, because they find that it's a multi-purpose boat. So the 28 is the #1 seller, and that was basically what Axopar started with. The 37, especially the Mark II, has been a huge success. Should have sold more, but availability has been a bit of an issue, which of course is a huge compliment also to Axopar. And now we are really anxious to see what will happen with the 22. I mean, that is a really new boat, the 22 Spider. I really love it, a playful, sporty, fun, but also multi-purpose boat with even a good head on the 22 footer. So we expect to sell quite a few of the 22 Spider.
Okay. Thank you, Bart. What is the top speed of this boat and the optimum cruising speed?
Well, now I'm starting to smile because we're heading in the direction of the speeding track. So we'll put her up to take her up to plane shortly. We'll get there momentarily.
Okay.
I can already tell you that it's over 75 kilometers an hour. It all depends on the load, of course. How many fuel are you carrying? We now have around 140 liters in the tank. The water tank is full. I just filled it up yesterday evening. We're 3 people on board. There are still some stuff on board. Let me in the meantime also take the cooler inside so that it doesn't anything. Top speed and cruising speed. You may have noticed this big screen. Perhaps Vincent can also film this. This also is a custom install. This is a 16-inch installation. There's a reason for that, because you can have a video shown on this image, which I wanted. That cannot be done on the 12-inch. I think now it is going to change. That now it will be available also on the 12-inch. But the good thing is that if you put it on something like this, but I programmed it even in a way that I can see here what the fuel usage is in kilometers per liter. So the bigger this number is, the better it is, because the bigger the number is, the bigger the distance is that you can have on a liter of fuel. And I always thought, you take a boat up to plane, just slightly above the plane threshold is optimum cruising speed. That is not the case, and I'm watching at this figure many times. So we did this setup with the twin 200 horsepower setup. This is a figure that stays more or less around this one for quite a range of RPMs. That is different with different versions behind the boat. If you have the 400, which I used to have, there was a bigger difference, but I found that on most 28s, well, on all 28s basically, the optimum cruising speed is relatively high, and that usually is between 40 and 50 kilometers an hour, which is a really high cruising speed. But again, let me in the meantime take in the cooler. There are some boaters here, so I have to keep an eye out on what's happening. Just a moment. Then I'll put the cooler away so that nothing can happen there, and we can pick up some speed. I have to warn both Vincent and Chantal that they have to be careful and that we're going to speed up the boat. Push down the table. I really recommend usually to take that off, but there's not a lot of wind. Shall we close the door? Do you want to come inside, Vincent, or?
No, I'm gonna check it out.
Sure, it is really fast.
Oh yeah?
Yes, you'll notice. Anyway, here we go. Engine is warm. By the way, having said all this about optimum cruising speed, I have been warned by my own mechanic that I do too little speeding. Why am I saying that? I'm looking at the oil temperature there, and these kind of engines really want to be well, heated between brackets regularly, so that any things that get into the engine oil are also evaporated. I'm not sure whether that's the right English word, but anyway, it is important, I've been told, that you speed up regularly also. And I live on this small lake where it's less common to do a lot of speeding, and again, this is twin 200 horsepower, so it's really fast, and I don't always go fast. We're picking up speed in the meantime, but you should every now and then. Here we go, doing 3,300 RPM, already at 40 kilometers an hour. And let's skip the whole way. Off we go. Chantal is looking a bit scared. Already at 75 kilometers, 78, 79, 80 kilometers an hour. Going against the wind, 81, 3 people again, 81, close to 82 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure whether Vincent is able to film. And while I'm taking down the speed, it's nice to see all these sailboats here, by the way. I think there's a tournament going on with what we call in Holland Draken. Let's say special class dragons. Really nice, especially if they have the spinnaker on. So, here we go. Well, I'll open up the door just a second. Please do come in. Are you still alive?
Hardly.
So,
What
that
was
was
the
the
speed?
top speed, 82 kilometers an hour. I think I managed 86 at some stage, and I know that some people in the Axopar owners group managed to get this setup even up to, I think, 93 kilometers an hour, which is extremely fast. But then you need different propellers and maybe put up the engines a bit higher. I would be careful doing things like that, because it's always a compromise. I think this setup is the proper compromise, at least for me it is, and you have to be careful not to over rev the engines and that they don't pick up too much air while taking tight turns. So I'm really happy with this, and 82 kilometers an hour with a nearly 10 meter boat is fast.
We have a question, Bart, from the Black Priest. Did you already explain why you switched to the twin engines, and what other changes you made to switch your today's boat as the old one?
Yes, I did already explain why I switched from my single 400 to twin 200. So please look back in the video at a later stage, because I don't want to bother all the other people watching telling it the second time. And what I changed, well, there are quite a few things. Let me leave her for now, and I'll leave her floating. I'll go through some things. This, for example, I changed to this 16-inch, and I did this specifically because now with the internet being available easily, and I put my phone on a hotspot. I have Spotify here, but not only that, I have YouTube, and I can stream this full image to this screen here. I can quickly show you this setup, for example, where I have the map here, which I really like, by the way, with this Google overlay. You need the Platinum 3 Plus, Platinum Plus I think is the correct name, to have this Google overlay. And I have the engine setup here, and here you see exactly a mirror of this screen. So if I put on a YouTube video, I tend to do this for music. I have a playlist with music, and right here I have my music playing. So this is a custom install for one. And the joystick, of course. Let me quickly take command and do some driving with the joystick. This is especially used while maneuvering. There's a separate video on us on the 28 Open, which we did, explaining this C-Star Optimus system. But you can use this as a joystick. It's really very natural driving this. You see the engines going in opposite ways. I really like this setup. But that is a custom install which we do at Kempers Watersport. That is not something Axopar does, the C-Star Optimus joystick setup. We do that. I know that there are some dealers in Europe who also do that, but not all of them. And what I also did, and what I'm extremely happy with, is this setup. I have the bow thruster installed, and we sell all Axopars with the bow thruster. I would recommend anyone doing that. But this is I'm looking for the English word now, a setup where usually it's either on or off if you use it. But you may hear now that I'm only using it slightly, and the further I push it, the more powerful the bow thruster is. And this makes it so quiet, nice, smooth to dock a boat. And while I do a lot of driving just by myself, and I sometimes more in really tight spaces, this is something I like very much. Other custom things is I installed a VHF, which I did later because I wanted AIS, a special system. There's more to find about what AIS is on the internet. A special AIS system. I think Axopar is now using a similar VHF, so you have AIS availability from Axopar. So that is a custom install. What else did I did? I replaced let me put them on, the deck lights, which are if you order them from Axopar, they are blue. I wanted them in white. Don't ask me why. It's a matter of taste, and it's cumbersome having to replace all these lights. Well, it's not so cumbersome, but we replaced them for white ones. What I cannot show you on the video, because I don't want Vincent to let his phone fall in the water, but the name on the boat is, there's a light in the name of the boat, which we're really proud of. That is a special Kempers system. Can you see?
Maybe.
And is it on even? Let me check. It's not on. Let me get the switch and put it on. I have to find the switch, just a second. Is it on yet? Yep, now it's on. But that is a custom installation, so with LED lights in the name. That is something we did, and while Vincent is here, let me open up this anchor hatch also. The anchor here is the same anchor as Axopar uses when you order an anchor winch. I didn't install an anchor winch because here in Holland we have a maximum depth in most areas of maybe 5 meters. So you don't really need an anchor winch. It's also my personal thought, and I didn't want to make the boat more heavy than necessary. Still have some room here to put fenders and stuff in. So we did this with the bow roller. Is a Kempers installation with the bow roller and just a cleat here. So I just let go of this anchor line to drop the anchor, and I pull it up, which for me works fine. It's affordable, the anchor is expensive, but you don't need the anchor winch in Holland, is my personal thought. So that is a custom installation. This table here is a custom thing. I don't really like the Aztec, to be honest, on top of this, but that is just me being really peculiar in these things. So this is a custom thing. This is wood, ash I think it is. Again, the coffee machine is a custom installation. And what we did also is add extra batteries so that we could have an inverter. We have a special app even on the navigation equipment from Victron, because there's a Victron servo system, which means that I can turn on and off the inverter, put it on charger mode only because it's a combi, so charger slash inverter. But not only that, I can see how much it's charging, what the remaining capacity is and stuff like that. So that you know, especially when using your boat for a holiday, for example, when you're anchoring, when you're staying overnight without having shore power connected, without having it available, you know how long you still have remaining in your batteries before you need to charge or run the engines to charge them again. So that is a custom thing. Maybe Vincent can also film this. This is replaced with the black one. All covers are black. Not only that, I insulated this, and that is mainly done for the winter time because I wanted the boat to be perfectly quiet and also really well insulated. So this is a custom install. Let me walk backwards. Small thing. This I replaced the screws with these things, so I can take this away relatively quickly. In Holland we have lots of bridges, really nice waterways, but lots of bridges, and the height like this is ideal, especially in this area. I think it's 2.15 meters or so, which is ideal. So if I take this off, I can basically get nearly anywhere in Holland. So that is a custom installation. Oh yeah, a practical thing. This actually was an idea of Patrick Polch, our colleague and my friend Patrick. This is something, this is done by Barton, and it's a simple thing, but I think this is really nice to be able to store your mooring lines like this. So I have all four here, and what I did also is I changed the fenders that Axopar uses, which are fine by the way, and it depends a bit on how and where you use your boat, because relatively small fenders for me are fine. These are a bit shorter, so I can have even up to 4 in one locker here. So that is also a custom installation. And I think with that, those are mainly the things that I customized, personalized on my own Axopar 28 cabin. Let me take the wind. I hope Vincent is able to follow me. People are passing by with fast going boats, so we have some waves. People water skiing, wakeboarding, I think. So let's continue what we're doing.
Yes. Bart, we have a question from Andriy Pavlov. Did you get the 28 and not the 37 mostly because of the cost, or other reasons in favor of the 28?
Yeah, I'm smiling because I've had that question many times. What I always say is that before I buy a 37, I need to sell more Axopar and Sea Race. But that is also a joke because this boat I really like, and I like 37. And without budget being, of course, an important factor, if I were to make the decision again, I would still even though I might have at that time an unlimited budget, I would still consider the 28. And why is that? That is because I think it is a relatively compact boat, and for me, driving it a lot just by myself, it is fine. I mean, I have a toilet. I can bring enough drinks. I can lie down in the sun, enjoy the sun. There's a heating unit in there. I can sleep overnight. So it basically offers everything I want to. And if the boat were bigger, of course, fuel consumption is higher. There's a lot more to clean. You need a bigger mooring and stuff like that. But I must admit, my boat is next to a boat of a friend of mine who owns a 37 cross cabin. I really like it. I mean, at some stage, it will certainly be an Axopar 37.
Okay, thank you, Bart. We have a question from Mark. Who do you love more, this boat or your wife?
My wife, of course. No doubt about that. She may think otherwise, but no, my wife.
No. I don't see any other questions anymore in the chat. And let me see. Maybe it's a good one. Are there any party options on this boat?
party options. Well, of course, audio I think is an important thing when you want to party. So yes, again, there are some audio options, and our customers have chosen most of them. So that means the standard system, audio upgrade 1 and the audio upgrade 2. And then you have 6 speakers, a subwoofer, a really powerful amplifier. And with that, it's great sound and it's party. One thing that I should mention also about that just comes to mind is that with Fusion, you have a party mode where if you have friends who have who also have a Fusion system, you can stream the same music on all your friends' boats. So if you have like 5 boats next to each other while anchoring, you could all have the same music playing, and that is a really fun thing. We've tried it in boat shows and it works perfectly. It's a really nice thing. And other things, partying, well, of course you need drinks. Again, there's a really big cooler. I bring the Yeti Roadie. I have someone else who has a huge Yeti cooler on wheels, could bring even more. But the most important thing while having a party is bringing friends.
We have another question from Andriy Pavlov. Are you coming to Cannes because they will announce the 45 there?
Yes, I'm going to Cannes. I will be there the full show. I will be manning both the Axopar and the Sea Ray and the Boston Whaler stand. There will be someone else of the Kempers team called Maxime, who will be there driving mainly Axopar boats. So I will certainly be there, and yes, you're right, there will be more info on the bigger Axopar. But not only that, also on the Axopar 25, which is still new. Not a lot of people know that there's an Axopar 25 coming, but there is, and there will be a prototype, I've been told, on the Cannes boat show. And before I end that reply on the Cannes boat show, we have a Campers in Water event going on these days. We started actually today. We have 13 boats in the water, many Axopar boats, the 22 Spider, 28 cabin, this boat, open, 37 cross cabin, 37 Suntop, but also quite a few Sea Ray boats. So if you want to have a look at it, if you're from Holland or Belgium, please come and visit us. They're in the water. Please call before you drive to us because it's kind of busy and we really want to make the time for you so that you get enough attention. You have all those boats in the water, so please come and we'll take you out for a spin.
Okay. We have a question from Dempsey the Porter. It's a Dutch question, so I think he would like to have the answer in Dutch as well. Is het trailerbaar in gewicht?
If it's trailerable, a really good question, and I'm really thankful that you're asking that question. Important question, and I have to elaborate about that. If you look at the data on the Axopar 28, and especially an open, and you don't choose too many options, it's possible, yes, it's doable. If you were to choose a 28 cabin like this one, with a twin outboard setup, no, it will be too heavy. If you are careful, again, and if you choose a 28 with a single engine, and try not to install the anchor winch and other heavy options like the wooden floor here in the cabin, and there are some others, then you could still trailer it if you have the right trailer for it, that is, and of course the proper car. And why am I mentioning the trailer? Axopar boats have a stepped hull, and if you tend to put your boat in and out of the water at a slipway, you would, if you were to use a regular trailer, you would eventually basically destroy the hull of the Axopar because it's a stepped hull. So I think you need a special system, and we are Van Klaas dealer who build stainless steel trailers. And not only that, they have what they call a gyro system, which is a really sophisticated system with many wheels, rollers, which go in the direction that the hull is shaped, so that the hull is not damaged. So if you buy an Axopar 28 and you don't have too many options, one engine, and a Van Claas trailer with a gyro system, it's possible. One thing you should keep in mind that the beam of the boat is 2 meters 95, and not in all European countries you are basically allowed to just go out on the roads with that type of width. Many up to some years ago the maximum width was 2 meters 59 you could have. Now it's, at least in Holland, it is 3 meters, so you're allowed to do so. But even in countries where you're allowed, I would advise anyone to give it some thought, because if you have, for example, like a BMW X5 or a Range Rover or that style of car, they are big cars, but still I think they're about 2 meters wide. So then you can imagine that you still have quite a bit more behind your car. So you need extension mirrors, I think they're called, and you need to keep really your mind set on that width being behind you if you go into narrow roads. And of course you need to check regulations. Van Claas know by heart, even for all countries in Europe, what the regulations are. And I think for Germany, for example, it's allowed, but you need a special permit. In Belgium there's a different regulation. In Holland you can. And we as a company have been taking boats to our customers and from our customers. So there is a possibility to do that. But there are some things you need to keep in mind.
Thank you, Bart. We have a question from the Black Priest. What is the risk of overpowering a boat? The 22 with more than 200 HP, 250, or 28 with 2 times 250?
Yeah. I'm smiling because I really like it if especially men remain small boys. And we always want to be the fastest and the best at things, and it is great to have a boat with which you're the fastest on the lake. But trust me, you really don't need more than either single 400 or twin 200 on an Axopar 28, and more than 200 horsepower on an Axopar 22 Spider is really not necessary. If you really do think that it is, and if you're really into speed, I really need to recommend you not buying an Axopar but a Brabus marine boat, because they are built in a different way. They are modified, they are adapted in a special way so that they can cope with the forces that come with bigger and more heavy outboards. So you need a different boat, and Axopar will never increase the maximum horsepower allowed on these 28s and 22s, because you have Brabus Marines. And I've driven a few, they're extremely fast, they're really fun boats. But having said, I'm really happy with, again, a nearly 10-meter boat doing 82 kilometers an hour. I mean, that is so fast that it is impressive. And I basically, but that's my personal opinion, I think you don't need more. Then again, there are people who drive cars in Germany 300 kilometers an hour, which of course is understandable and I'm sure is lots of fun. Fortunately, we're all different, but Axopar is known for its high-speed boats already at Axopar, and Brabus Marine are even faster. I'm taking the speed down because we're going to drop the anchor in the meantime. So if you wonder what I'm doing, but I hope that answers your question.
Yes. We have 2 similar questions, so I think it's handy to combine the 2. What do you know about the 45 and the 25?
Not a lot, to be honest, and what I do know I'm not really allowed to tell you about, and I'm sorry about that, but I've had to sign, especially for the 45, a special non-disclosure agreement, so I'm not allowed to say anything about it. I know that many dealers have been informed by Axopar about the 45. So if you're interested, please go to your local dealer and ask him, because a dealer could show you, not give you the data, not give you the images, but could tell you more about the 45 and perhaps also about the 25. I don't know a lot about the 25 yet, but I think with the Cannes Boat Show starting Tuesday, September 7th, there will be a lot more info on the Axopar 25.
Thank you, Bart. We have a compliment from Rob. Very useful comments and tips. Nice setup. Going out with the boat during the stream. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob.
And we have a question from Everin Dennisman. What kind of joystick is that? Does not look like a Mercury.
No, this is a Seastar Optimus joystick. This is a custom install we did at Kempers Watersport. So it's different. It's slightly cheaper, even though still costly, but it's cheaper than the Mercury setup, for which in Holland the price is around 25,000 euros or so. A lot of money, but you do get the autopilot also. And this is a bit cheaper, but it works well the same. I mean, it's a fantastic system, which now is also supplied as a Mercury thing. It's built by Seastar, but there's Mercury part numbers now, so any Mercury dealer can order this. And there are some Axopar dealers who are also a well-known Mercury dealer, and they can do this installation as well. Let me still say some things about this. The nice features are, of course, the joystick steering, moving this joystick, blah blah blah, but also the P, with which you may notice now that there's a warning that you shouldn't be in the water. If I engage now, there's no wind now, so it's not really a good example, but now the boat is kept in the same position, and I could even combine that with the heading so that it doesn't only remain on this position while doing this, but now it stays like this with the bow being in the same direction. I'm not touching anything, and you may hear that the engines are now starting to work, keeping the boat fixed on a certain position with a margin of a couple of meters. So a great system from Seastar. Seastar Optimus 360.
Thank you, Bart. We have a compliment from Manuel far from the villages. I love your job. Greetings from Mexico.
Thank you, Manuel. And I do have a nice job. Yes, really am happy with that. I'm dropping the anchor in the meantime, by the way. Before I do, maybe there are some more questions, because I cannot ask you to follow me with your laptop.
At this moment there are no questions anymore. Let me see. Let me see on Facebook maybe. We have a question from Nick. Are you gonna watch football tonight?
Yeah. People who know me know that I am really into boats, but I'm not into football at all. I will be looking at football when the Dutch team will get a bit further, but I think it's the first game tonight. I doubt it whether I'll be watching, to be honest. But I hope everybody who does enjoy football, that it will be a great match and fun to watch, and that of course the Dutch team will win. Sorry for the Norwegian guys watching, but yeah, I hope it will be a great match and fun to see.
Thank you, Bart. We have another question from Everin Dennisman. Can you comment on why the white color is always more expensive than the black one?
I'm not sure whether I understand that question correctly. Why the white color is more expensive than the black one?
For the engines.
Ah, for the engines. Ah, okay. I think that has to do with just the numbers that are being sold, and I think Mercury basically has always been building and selling black engines mainly. So a lot of parts are in black. So I think the setup at Mercury is just black, 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 and that white is an addition, and they change. So a different thing, which is of course less efficient, less easy to make, and I think thus the added cost for the white version, which by the way I recommend, because especially in salt water, you see salt. Of course, engines heat up, and when the water dries, the salt remains. And not only that, even in fresh water like we have here, there's chalk ending up on the engines, and you see that more often. They just look dirty. Whereas white engines, you may not expect that, but they don't look as dirty as quickly.
Thank you, Bart. We have a question from Andriy Pavlov. The 300 or the 350 for the 37, what do you think?
A good question also, thank you for that. In the meantime, I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to drop the anchor because we're really starting, especially myself, I'm starting to look forward to a drink. I've been talking quite a lot, and of course we brought some nice beers and some wine, so we'll have a glass of wine or something else. But yeah, 300 or 350. They're different engines, they have a different character, and I have personal experience with both. On this boat I have the 200 V6s, which are fantastic engines, they're really great, I love them. And the V8, which is similar, is an engine which has been developed at the same time that this V6 has been developed. But it's a totally different character than the 350 or the 400. The 400 and the 350 being outboard engines with an L6 setup, so a 6-cylinder inline. I'm going to stay here for a change, being outside. So 6-cylinder inline with a compressor, and I think it's 2.6 liters of volume in the cylinders. The 200 horsepower V6 is a 3.4 liter volume engine. I'm saying this by heart. And the 300 horsepower, the new V8, is an engine which has 4.3 liters, which is a bit strange, because one would expect nowadays, with engines being downgraded, less volume in the cylinders and compressors being used, turbos, twin turbo setups, and in that situation where engines are changing in that direction and being downsized, Mercury has come out with the new V6 and V8, which have bigger cylinders, which turn out, because there are some things that Mercury developed and added, the fuel economy with these new engines turns out to be, at higher speeds that is, better than with the L6s. Having said that, I sometimes miss my 400. And why am I saying that? There's no engine, I personally believe, between 200 and 400 horsepower which is as smooth and quiet as the L6 Verados from Mercury. They're so nice. So if you do a bit more slow driving than fast driving, I would certainly recommend looking at, in your case, for the 37, the 350s, because that's the maximum horsepower you can get. I would not recommend people considering an Axopar 37 buying the 350s over the 300s because it's more horsepower, because the top speed is more or less the same. There's advantages to the V8s, there's a better torque which has some advantages, but the smoothness of the 350 is unbeatable. They're great engines.
Thank you, Bart. We have a question from Wouter. How about the diesel OXO on a 28?
I was hoping that somebody would ask that question, because I am anxious to see what will happen there also. We do get questions about diesel engines also. Axopar is known for the ideal setup with fuel outboard engines in petrol versions, and they're really good, they're really efficient, they're smooth, they're silent, they're fun. So we haven't been used to them yet. What I've seen is these engines coming out on the market. There are a few. I think there was a 200 at first, now there's a 300 V8, a really heavy but interesting engine. And I noticed that my colleague and friend Patrick Polk recently did a test with an Axopar 37 cross cabin, where he installed twin 300 horsepower V8 diesels. I would recommend you watching that video. it is definitely interesting, and he is also working on a setup, I know, for a single V8 300 on the 28. Having said that, I think financially it's not interesting, because if you look at the data, I just shut off the engine on this boat, but I had a look at it today. This boat has now run approximately 90 hours. And I noticed that the total fuel that this boat used is around 1,000 liters. So that means on average that this boat used 11 liters approximately per hour, which is not a lot, but I'm a slow driver. I drive slow a lot, so I'm certainly not an average driver. But if you think about that, 11 liters an hour, and knowing that the extra cost for diesel over petrol engine is, I think, even around 25,000 euros, and you do the calculation, you need to make so many hours to make it worthwhile to have a diesel, and the performance will be different because the engine is heavier, it's a different character, it will be, I expect, I haven't experienced it myself, even though Patrick Poltje was impressed about the smoothness, I'm nearly convinced that it will not match the smoothness and quietness of the petrol engines that the Mercury has. So it's interesting, but I think only for people really aiming at diesel because they cannot get petrol in their area. That may be an important reason. There are some people using Axopar boats as shadow boats on mega yachts, where they have a one fuel policy, where they just want diesel, period. That may be an important reason. Or people using boats commercially, where you do maybe even a couple of thousand hours each year. I do maybe 150 hours a year, but if you do many more hours, then it may be interesting. So it will be, I think, a very limited thing on Axopar boats.
Thank you, Bart. Let me see. A lot of.
We're smiling.
Get the drink, man.
We're still coping.
How robust is the hull to beach?
Yeah, I have to be careful answering that question because I do not recommend people simply beaching fiberglass boats without at least having experience doing that and thinking about that thoroughly. For one, if you don't have anti-fouling on, it will scratch the hull basically in the longer term. But it is a well-built boat. We've been selling Axopar boats for 7 years approximately now. We haven't had any issues, and we've had people beaching the boat. I would be careful doing so, and especially be careful when there's a chance of rocks being in between the sand. But yes, you can beach an Axopar. Just be very careful and know what you're doing. Know the area, know what is under the water, and be careful. But it can handle it, yes.
Okay. We have a comment from the Black Priest. Get the man a drink.
Thank you, Black Priest. Thank you, thank you. With that, I think it is a good thing to wrap up this video. I really feel honored. I don't have my watch at the moment, but I think we've been here online for over an hour, which is a huge compliment from all the viewers. There's been a lot of questions. Thank you for hanging in there with us for such a long time. Thank you, Chantal, also for your help, and thank you, Vincent. We will be doing more of these. If you have a special topic that you would want us to elaborate about, that you would want us to pay attention on, let us know. We really want to show you and tell you about the things that you want to see and hear. So let us know. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being there. And I wish you fun for the Dutch viewers and the Norwegian viewers, fun with the football match tonight. We'll be taking a nice drink now. Enjoy your evening, and I hope to see you next time.
See you next time, guys.